T minus 10 seconds. Okay? Mogę zaczynać? Okay, so hello everybody. My name is Ernest Nowak. We are in University of Medical and Social Sciences in Poland, in Lublin. And this event is a training session for our participants of our International Week. We thought it would be a good idea to share it with others as well. We hope that many of you students and staff members, administrative staff members and academics individually and as staff members will find it interesting. This is a little bit information about our university. This is a non-public university established around 25 years ago. We have social sciences and medical sciences. I'm also CEO of a company that is Erasmus Consortium Coordinator. We work with 7 universities and it's kind of outsourcing of Erasmus. We apply for Erasmus financing to national agency as a consortium and financing can go to 7 universities. Also, we created Erasmus BIP database. This is to help other universities find partners abroad, find students, find participants, and universities that would like to organize BIP together or invite experts. This is also a good opportunity for our colleagues from Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam, Colombia, other countries from outside of European Union, because in every BIP there is virtual part. Virtual part is the day where it's mandatory to organize one day with online teaching. And during this online teaching, it would be a very good idea to have experts from outside of European Union to have 90 minutes or 45 minutes module to increase collaboration with other universities as a start, as something that can help get KA 171 financing. Now, probably to keep you interested, I will start with short presentation of what I'm building, what I'm trying to do, because later we will move to more boring specific topics, but I want you to stay focused. So first, maybe I will show you a little bit of course, I changed the personal information. The phone number is fake, the emails are fake, the names are fake. So all information in this Excel is fake, but these are the budgets, the names, the stages of preparation of every mobility that as a consortium we make, numbers of financial agreements, whether they completed the mobility, whether they have sent us the certificate, or did the participant complete the report after mobility. So there's one database of information that I cannot share to any AI, like Grok or ChatGPT online, because it would be violation of GDPR rules and data processing. I would like to also show you the hardware, the system that I created. So maybe let's move a little bit to my computers. This is the computer that costs 80 euro. This is a very nice tool, thank you. This is the computer that costs 80 euro. It's HP 420 with DDR3 memory. So very cheap memory, very affordable. You can buy, like for 40 euro, you can buy 90 gigabytes of RAM. You can have 20 core processor or 20 threads processor, and the whole computer, including memory, including 2 hard drives, cost 80 euro. Okay, there's one graphics card with 24 gigabytes of video memory, which is very fast and does all the computing. That's why it's possible to use this kind of old hardware to create this kind of computer, because all calculations are done on graphics cards. This graphic card is around 4 or 5 years old, but it has one advantage: it has a lot of VRAM, okay, 24 gigabytes. This is another computer because I tried to fit 2 graphics cards. So there are 2 graphics cards. Each is worth used around 750 euro, maybe. But the computer itself, including 64 gigabytes of memory, cost around $200. And it's got 2 processors, 24 threads total, and very good part is that it has 16 banks for memory, which means that you can have 190 gigabytes of RAM in this computer for the price of like less than $100, because it's DDR3, not DDR4, not DDR5, the old memory. That's why I'm personally trying to build this. So this is the hardware that we will be working on. The computer that is on is this one, the cheaper one, and I will explain shortly why. Now, the computer, let's move back to the screen. The computer has installed, here is the status. So currently there's a processor with 8 cores. I can pay 8 euros and buy a processor that has 20 cores. It has 32 gigabytes of RAM. I can buy another 90 gigabytes for the price of like maybe 40 euro. And we have several services installed on this. It's Linux, it's a Proxmox server where I can install multiple instances. So here we have one service, one, let's say, virtual machine with Linux, with Open Web UI and Olama. Here we have our database, Kudrant. Then we have, I'm experimenting with Multica. Multica is an environment where I can have something like Slack, where I can have multiple live people and AI agents that work together and assign tasks and have a list of things that need to be done, that are currently being done, that are completed, that are revised, and they are revised and done. So a team of people and AI agents can work together in one environment. There's also a second one, Paperclip. The link to it will be later. So I need to check which one would be better. And there is one more virtual machine, which is Hermes. I will tell you a little bit about this later. This is the AI agent with replaceable brain. So this is my local memory on 2 hard drives, my local tools, my local skills, and my local automation tasks that I keep on my computer. But the brain can be in the graphics card, or it can be online, provided by any AI provider. Or what I would like to argue, the best solution would be local hosted AI, but hosted by the institution, by the university, to be used by university staff during their work. So we'll go back to this presentation now. And now, currently, AI is, I don't believe it's smart enough to be the CEO and be the orchestrator. I think that the human will be orchestrator now and a little bit later. When we talked before, I told you that people that use AI, that know how to use AI will be like pizza delivery guys that use electric scooters or electric bikes because they can deliver much more pizzas than somebody who is walking on foot. So if you're a staff member that doesn't use AI properly, probably you will be much less efficient than somebody who can delegate and automate tasks using AI. Now, after my conversation with a colleague from Colombia, Professor Carlos Largacha Martinez, I found in his article very interesting quote that I would like to show you. I think that AI is unable to work on a higher level because it has lack of connection to real world human experience. One of the examples is, for example, in this one of the computers, the one that fits 2 graphics cards, I had a problem. The lower graphics card didn't fit. The fans were getting stuck with the cables that are below. So I took a hammer and I took out the motherboard. Then I used the hammer to hammer down the lower part of the case, and then it fit. So the ideas that AI gave me were much more expensive than half an hour of work and a hammer. This is something that AI doesn't know. Hammer sometimes works best. Now, on my first tries, I tried to create this automation workflows using N8N and some other protocols. But to be honest, I found it too hard and too difficult because it couldn't troubleshoot. So I took the online tutorial, I did everything by the book, then I came across problems with versions and some versions in different protocols and scripts. They kept getting stuck and I had to find out how to fix them. So I let it down. I let it pass, and I moved to Hermes. And Hermes agent, starting from version 0.7, it came out, I think, a couple of weeks ago, or I think in beginning of April. And this is the AI agent that has very interesting capabilities because it can self-improve and it can troubleshoot the problems by itself. So I tell it what to do and what's the outcome that I need. And it will keep trying until it gets to the result that is expected. Now, of course, the problem is that first I tried with GPU that had 12 gigabytes and 7 billion model, or 9 billion model, or 14 billion model. 14 billion parameters model. And unfortunately, it was too stupid to use the tools and to use the all capabilities of Hermes. The first model that worked was 27 billion parameters, Qwen 3.5. And this model needs 17 gigabytes of VRAM, video RAM. That's why these cards have 24 gigabytes. But apart from VRAM for the model itself, we also need VRAM for context. So one card can accept 16,000 tokens of concept, which is enough to start automations, but it's not enough to have longer conversation and longer dialogue to create the script that will be run. So this is where I used other tools. I will tell you about it in a little bit long, a while. Now, the intelligence of this AI agent depends on the brain, on the AI model that is connected. We can switch the models very easily. We can give it API of online models, online providers like Anthropic, like OpenRouter, like any other provider, Microsoft Azure, doesn't matter. But the biggest problem is the cost. The cost of computation with using online models. A couple of days ago, it was possible to connect Anthropic Cloud Pro plan for $18 per month and use it in Hermes. But around a week ago, they closed this loophole, and now you have to use API keys that you pay for every token. Okay. Now, if you want to learn more, tomorrow at 8 we will continue on our more practical workshops. We will not stream it live, but I will show everybody how to install this Hermes AI agent very easily on their laptops, on Apple and Linux. It's easier on Windows. It's a little bit like two additional steps, but it's possible to install it on your laptop. I think it's a much better idea to run it on a local server at home or in the university. It depends on the solution, but I think that individuals can have a separate computer with 2 hard drives mirrored. In case of one drive failing, you have redundancy, so it's better than a laptop, okay? Because you can store memory, all skills that it gains while using it. It will remember everything that you have done, and you can reach out to these skills and do recurring actions using the skills that it has learned. Now, I already showed you my agent. Now let's show you a little bit of use case, how it works. Okay, so I connected this Hermes of mine to Open Web UI. This is an interface just like interface of ChatGPT. You can attach files, you can send messages. So for example, let's ask it, you have some cron jobs remembered. What are they? Okay, so now we ask this computer with its memory about the tasks that I implemented in my Erasmus office. So first one is Erasmus student reminders, the second is Erasmus staff reminders, the third one is Erasmus partner universities tracker. Then there are 2 jobs because I'm trying to make it better. So there are 2, one that runs, one that will be better, that have when I upload files to my server, like rules of recruitment or financial agreements of my students, or this Excel that I have shown you with the progress of completion of every step of preparation of mobility, then my computer will chunk it, vectorize it, put it in its database, and later, if I ask it any questions about it, they will reach out to my database and it will take out the information. For example, in 2024, Ernest Novak, how many times did he travel in Erasmus STA or STT? I uploaded it some documents that are not data protected for this presentation. So this is 2024. What about 2023? So in my database, I gave it some financial agreements, and it gave me the output from these financial agreements. It works pretty fast because it doesn't have to analyze the documents, the Word documents. It already has this information chunked and vectorized in its database, so it remembers. It goes back to this memory. Describe cron job 3 details of script. Okay, let's wait for it. Okay, So it connects to my emails, it checks the last 2 days of incoming emails and outgoing emails, and every emails that are ending with edu PL, extract the information and put it in Excel file, all the contacts. So later, if I would like to send emails to my partners, I never forget about some partner that I have met. I wrote emails with them. I will inform them about some event or wish them Merry Christmas or remind about Erasmus BIP database or keep track of my partners, okay? Now, I believe that university has 3 options of implementation of AI in university. First, you have the option of doing nothing and pretend that nobody is breaking the law and everybody is doing everything according to law. Nobody is using ChatGPT or Grok, transferring some classified information with personal data to American models where the information disappears, okay, or is processed, or any model is learned based on this information. So the second option is many universities do that. They sign digital DPA, the partnership agreement with providers, usually in Europe. We choose not to use American-based servers, and we trust that the other party will work according to this DPA, so they will not use our data for training, and no human will have access to this data. For example, I looked a couple of days ago on Microsoft Azure, and it said that it was not the professional agreement, it was without the agreement. It specifically said that our staff can visually see the content of your requests, okay? So have it in mind, don't share sensitive information there. Of course, with a DPA, it will be possible. So with a complicated agreement that the institution signs with a provider like Microsoft, it will be possible. But your staff members have to have API and access to this service provided by your university. Individually, it's very hard for an individual to have this kind of detailed agreement about data processing. Now, the third option is for the universities to spend the money, buy the hardware, and run smart enough model locally, smart enough brain for the staff members to use, okay? Now I will show you a little bit about the costs of me preparing for this presentation. Let's say this was a couple of days, and during this couple of days, I did this number of requests on OpenRouter. OpenRouter is the provider where you can find multiple AI agents, from cheapest to most expensive, from the newest to the simplest. The simplest will be free or with very low pricing. For example, I used a very similar model that I'm able to use on these 2 computers. And I spent $2 in the last couple of days. But I had very large context window. I could have very long discussions without the need of compressing the conversation. Now, I also used Anthropic Claude. I have a Claude Pro plan for $18, where, of course, I don't share any personal information of the students and anyone involved, but I can use it to discuss the procedures, how to make the script, how to make it better, what doesn't work, what path to take. This is the way. And here, for the last couple of days, I got 19 euro free. I added 10 euro, and I can use API, because like I mentioned before, I can no longer use the Cloud Pro monthly fee to use in Hermes, I have to use API. So for every request, I have to pay. So $20 gone. Now this is the list of the most popular models used in OpenRouter. The good part about OpenRouter is that you can pay them $10 or €10, and after that, you will be able also to use free models. So not only, but of course, free models work slower. Some of them are unavailable. Some of them will stop working after a while. So it's a problem. If you choose a paid model, you can choose a cheaper model or a more expensive model. It's up to you. Now, what is this zero data retention? Okay, in Microsoft or in OpenRouter, it's very difficult to have zero data retention. If you force to use models that don't use your data, then you will have much less models available. Or in Microsoft, you need the professional DPA with Microsoft. What can go wrong? Well, your data can go to US servers, which is very big mistake considering GDPR in European Union. Basically, it's very difficult to audit what actually happens, okay? So, because it's a lot of information that's flowing back and forth. And then you can have mixed API, you can have shared API keys, and it can mix something that is supposed to not remember to something that is remembering. It's very difficult to verify it. Now, even if you have very good agreement, in America, there are this Cloud Act, for example, that the government can compel data access even from EU stored data. Okay, so this is something you have to have in mind. It's very complicated and dangerous to use this kind of solutions online when you use personal information of people, when you use medical information, when you work as a lawyer, as a notary, as a doctor, and also in universities if you process students' personal information. So now, there are some violations of the numbers of articles you violate and the penalties you pay if you don't have proper rules implemented in your university. Now, these are the things that must be in this data processing agreement. It's mandatory, preferably it's a written form, and you have to analyze it and address all problems that are necessary. Now, if you're running models locally, so in my case, me in these two computers, the data doesn't leave my infrastructure. There's no third country, there's no risk of US servers, and I can have backups of this data. I can have multiple hard drives, so if something breaks down, I can always restore it. And I can have my own database of my knowledge stored locally by my institution or by me personally in my computers. Now, why I believe that the best solutions for using AI in university would be for the university to buy hardware much better than what you see here, and to give access to staff members to use self-hosted local AI. It limits the risk of breaking the law. This is for first. Second, you are not limited to one provider. You can switch providers by switching API and getting, or by just, if the new model comes out in the next year or month, you can just switch the model and have a smarter model. It all depends on what kind of hardware you have. You can give API keys to your staff members. You can monitor how much of this computing power the staff members use. And you can teach them how to use it, not to chat with ChatGPT, but how to use AI agents to make their work faster, to transfer all repetitive tasks to AI. Now, right now, the staff members use multiple tools. Hopefully, they are responsible enough not to upload personal data that they shouldn't. Well, the university basically doesn't have much control over what's happening. Now, one more thing. The audit. The audit is incredibly complex and difficult. If it goes out, you have to control what goes out. Now I would like to show you the comparison of two approaches, okay? If we consider that the university will have 4 to 10 employees that have a couple of sessions per day, this is the cost. The daily cost will vary, it depends. If they are beginners, they will not use much. But if they are advanced, if they have multiple automations, multiple jobs and scripts that run at night or during the day or every half an hour, or the AI checks emails and verifies if something was replied or not. If some emails remain unanswered from a list of email addresses that are important, then they can get notifications on WhatsApp, because Hermes, my Hermes, for example, is connected to my WhatsApp, and I can send a message from anywhere, and it can reply, it can verify, it can just as if I was in front of the computer. So there are many tasks that can be implemented. Tomorrow during our workshops, we will try to come up with ideas of automations in all of your line of work. What can we tell the AI agent to do? But the annual cost will be the cost of API requests of the tokens that go out and come back from online model. On the other hand, if you have local infrastructure, you will have the cost of buying the hardware, and you will have the cost of energy. Now, if you have, for example, these graphics cards, each of them uses 350 watts of electricity. Of course, you can limit it to use 250 watts, for example. The performance will not lower by 50%, it will lower by a couple of percent, but still, in old computers like this, I have a couple of challenges. One of them is space, because this graphics cards takes up 3 slots, which is difficult. It would be best if it took 2 slots, but the 390 that takes 2 slots are very rare and about 25 or 30% more expensive. They are called 3090 Turbo or Blower, and they are more expensive, but they could fit 2 slots. They would be louder, they would need better ventilation, but this 3rd slot is a problem. Like I said, first I needed a hammer to fit one. Second, not many cases, not many computers can fit 3 slot graphics cards. So a 2 slot would be better. Second thing is power consumption. The power supply in this computer is like 600 watts, in the other is 1000 watts. But still, I needed to limit the amount of power that goes to the graphics card. I can, of course, swap very easily power unit in this computer, and if I cut down the bottom of this case, I could fit a bigger card here, or if I could get a turbo variant, then I could put a second card here, a big new modern power unit here, and this could be a pretty good computer with 2 graphics cards. I will tell you in a short moment why I need 2, okay, not 1. Why 1 is not enough. Now, you could of course have 3 4090 graphics card, because you need to increase your amount of VRAM that you have. Or you could have RTX 6000. One RTX 6000 costs 10,000 euro, okay, around 10,000 euro. But the annual electricity it has two of these cards would have 180 gigabytes of VRAM, which means very good models with very large context and relatively low electricity consumption, because this would be just two cards. Of course, you can have, just like Bitcoin miners, you could have 8 graphics cards, but you can add graphics cards. It all depends. The sky is the limit, okay? Now, I will show you these models. I tried, like I mentioned, I tried 14 billion model parameter, but this wasn't working. It was unable to use the tools of Hermes. You asked it a question, it gave you a theoretical reply, but it couldn't practically use the tools that are built in Hermes. When using 27 billion parameter, it can use the tools, but the problem is that you have very small context. Okay, on one graphics card, I have only 16,000 of context, which means that it can run my automations because every automation starts from 0 to consume context, but I cannot have long conversations where I troubleshoot some problems. For this, I need longer context. The best would be to have a 70 billion parameter model that has itself, the model itself weighs 40 gigabytes, but you need additional video memory for context. The bigger model and the longer context, the more video memory you need. Now, in this model, here is the summary of what works. One person can work on this one card. If you would like to have multiple people working on it, it would be much slower, impossible. On the second computer with 2 cards, I could have 2 or 3 people working on comfortably, but still I will have not enough context. Okay. Now these are budget options for universities. Probably individual person can work with 68 or 24 gigabytes of VRAM, and in case of more complicated tasks, use outside models. But the best would be to use university model, because it would be smart enough to do multiple things, and you wouldn't break the law as a staff member. Okay, so if you make a mistake and you read university emails with the smart model, it's still the model that is locally in your university infrastructure, so you don't break the law. Now, there are some, like my solution is hybrid. So for some tasks, I have Hermes local, a profile that uses my model from 24 gigabytes VRAM with 64,000 context, and it's free. And if I need something more complicated, I switch to Hermes Online and I create scripts with a model that has 250,000 tokens context, so I can have very long conversation with it. And of course, there are these environments like Multica or Paperclip, where you can have multiple models working together. And I'm trying to implement it right now. And if I have this, I will be able to have Cloud Code with $18 per month to work together with my models and 1 or 2 human workers, and they will work together in one environment. Okay. Now, the solution for the university, let's say that they have a 70 billion model locally with 64,000 context, or maybe 128,000 context for very long conversations. They will have, each staff member will have Hermes agent with when they train it, they give it skills, they give it repetitive tasks, they create scripts, what to do, how to read emails, how to reply, to prepare drafts. After the drafts are okay, then they can do the actual replies. You can have open web UI interface, graphical interface, just like ChatGPT. You can have all your history of conversation saved locally, not in Microsoft or ChatGPT servers. You can have Quadrant local vector database. This is your local knowledge where you upload your files, and then whenever students ask some questions, the model first searches in RAG database and then provides a reply. And you can have automations, but I learned the hard way that the best way to create automations is just to create scripts in Hermes. Now, what AI agents can do for university staff? Okay, so they can do very quick analysis of statutes, regulations, agreements, financial agreements. If you have, for example, the application not in paper forms for Erasmus, but people fill out online forms, then AI agent can go to this database from this online form, pick up specific information, and put them in financial agreement in specific places. You can collect data, you can make much faster reporting because AI knows everything very fast because it's in its database. And of course, you can have schedules, reminders. Whenever rector sends an email or national agency sends an email, you get a notification on WhatsApp with a short summary of this email. You know whether you need to react now or later. If we have some things that are not done, some emails that are not replied, you can get notifications on your WhatsApp that, oh, this partner wrote you 3 days ago and you still haven't replied. And you can have this kind of reminders. So this is very good. And this is the conclusion that I believe that this local infrastructure in university probably will be much more after the staff learn how to use it, after they use it extensively. Using your own model for processing will be much cheaper than using models from online providers. And there's one more thing. Currently, we have ChatGPT or Grok, we have free access to it as individuals, yes? But I bet all of you noticed that the amount of work we can do with one agent is shorter and shorter with every month, okay? So at some point, it's more and more expensive to use the online solutions because they also consume a lot of energy and a lot of computing power. Now, it's rather cheap because we will get addicted to it. We will start using it. We will learn how to use it. And if we use online provider that has all the memory, all the scripts, everything that we have done with it, then it will be very hard to walk away. It will be just like a heroin addict. You learned, you're addicted, you cannot move to another provider because you're stuck with the one that you already know and knows everything about you. So these are the recommendations. So there's option 0, of course. Option 0 is this kind of old hardware. This will cost you around 1,000 euro. The other one will cost you around 1,500 because I need a better power supply for my graphics cards over there. If you are a student or an individual, I think it's a very good idea to use old server with DDR3 memory because in servers it's DDR3 etc., which is very cheap, okay? And I think that it's best to search for 3090 turbo graphics cards. The biggest restraints will be power, space in your case, and cooling. Probably cooling will be not a problem in the winter, but in the summer it might. Yeah, for institutions, there are other solutions. I already told you about the context. The bigger the model, the more VRAM it uses for context. So for institutions, the optimal would be 90 or 180 gigabytes of VRAM. Now, tomorrow at 8, we will start our workshops. We will go through my ideas, your ideas of automations at work. There are some links in our presentation to some tutorials, YouTube creators. You can subscribe to them. You can find others. Once you subscribe one, you watch 1 or 2 videos, then you will be recommended videos from the same bubble. And maybe you will start learning about these things. Of course, I would be very happy to discuss ideas like this with other universities, with Erasmus Office staff, with administrative staff. I will be traveling as well to partner universities whenever I will be teaching. I will be also trying to discuss with their IT team what they implemented, what they plan to implement. So this is something that I find really interesting because in Erasmus Office, we have organizational support from our national agency that is stuck at the level of €400 for mobility since 2021. And since 2021, a lot has changed. We had inflation, we had COVID, we had rising salaries of staff members in Erasmus Office, but we have still the same organizational support. So basically, it's very hard to afford to hire enough people to do the work. So the solution is have AI, 1 staff member in Poland, including all the taxes and everything, costs around 70,000 zloty per year, which is around 18 or 17,000 euro per year for 1 staff member with minimum salary. If you want to pay more than minimum salary, of course, it will cost more. So basically, it's impossible to do everything that needs to be done and more, because you can do more. You don't have to do the bare minimum. You want to expand the network of your partners. You want to write more KA171 applications. You want to have ideas that you want to implement, and you don't have time because you have to do all these repetitive tasks that are related to every mobility. So that's why I will be very interested in training my AI to replace 1 or 2 staff members in my office and to be able to do more things with less staff member. There's another question. What if you, as Erasmus Office staff members, train your AI, create using university brain, university model, you create automations, scripts, and very good AI assistant for yourself, and then you decide to quit your job? Does this results of your work stay in the university? Who has the right to this knowledge and the scripts that you created? Do these automations and scripts stay with your replacement staff member? Because if they do, then you will be afraid to create this kind of solutions, because when you lose your job or you can be fired, you go and ask for a raise, and then the boss says, no, we don't need you anymore. We have your agent. So these are these very complicated problems that need solving, because on one hand, we need to incentivize our staff to use these tools to be more effective. On the other hand, they shouldn't be afraid to use it. So these are topics for our next discussion in our next module offline, not stream. So thank you very much for your attention. I hope you found it interesting, and you will try to go down the rabbit hole and learn about it, because I found it fascinating. Thank you very much. Thank you.